Hello friends, I am Milind Khamgaonkar, Assistant Professor in Tulsiramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. Friends, today we will be starting our discussion on our civil engineers bread and butter subject, that is the concrete technology. As we all know that concrete is the world's most widely used building material. Its global production is almost more than 4 billion cubic meters per year. Approximately 1.25 billion tons of the cement is being used. So when such a largely used commodity is being considered, then we must know its science and its economical aspects, being a civil engineer. In our third sem, the syllabus for the concrete technology, as has been shown here, 6 units are there. First unit deals with the ingredients, basic ingredients of the concrete: cement, aggregate and water. Second unit deals with the fresh concrete, that is production of concrete. Third deals with strength of concrete. Fourth deals with mixed design of the concrete, additives and admixtures in the concrete. And the sixth one deals with the durability of concrete. The fifth one deals with the special concrete and the shrinkage. We will go bit detail in all the units. The unit 1, ingredients of concrete, deals with the first ingredient, that is the cement, its chemistry, constituents, hydration, physical properties, lab and the field testing, various types of the cements. The unit 1 also incorporates the second ingredient of the concrete, that is the aggregate. Again, its sources, various types of the aggregates, the characteristics of the aggregate, significance of these characteristics upon the basic qualities of the concrete, that is the strength, workability and durability. Again I will repeat the friends that the concrete must have these basic three qualities, that is the strength, workability and durability. Mechanical properties of the aggregates and its norms, sampling for testing of the aggregates, and the last ingredient of the concrete, that is the water. What should be the quality of water for using in the concrete, for mixing as well as the curing? Unit 2 deals with the again the production of the concrete, fresh concrete, various methods involved in the production of concrete, curing of the concrete, workability, one of the main property of the concrete, its measurement, hot weather concreting, like the concrete in summer, and underwater concreting. Unit 3 deals with the strength of the concrete, another property of the concrete, the gain of the strength, factors affecting flexural strength, impact, fatigue and the shear strength, and various test procedures of the hardened concrete. Unit 4 deals with the concrete mix design. What is its necessity, various processes, certain statistical quality control, factors affecting various design mix processes as per Indian standard and as per road note number 4. Again we will be discussing about the another and very important ingredient of the concrete, that are the additives and the admixtures in this unit. Unit 5 deals with various types of the special concrete. Nowadays the concrete technology has developed to the sky high. latest technology, latest material, latest methodology, latest equipments. So therefore, the various new types of the concrete serving various purposes like the self-compacting, high performance, fiber reinforced, polymer, ferro cement, etc. The two important properties of the concrete, that is the shrinkage and creep, will be discussed in this unit. Unit 6 deals with the third and very important property of the concrete, that is the durability of concrete, the distress in concrete structures, its causes, related to that again cracks in concrete, various types, how to prevent and repair, and very important nowadays being technological development, the non-destructive testing of the concrete. The various reference books are the books to be considered for the study of concrete technology are the Concrete Technology by Mr. Gambhir, Concrete Technology by Mr. A. M. Neville, and Concrete Technology by M. S. Shetty. Any of the book will serve the purpose of getting in detail about the subject concrete technology. For reference, again a book by Mr. A. M. Neville which deals with the properties of concrete can be used. The paper pattern as per the CBS system, all the 6 units carry equal weightage. From each unit you have to solve one question in or form. Okay. So all question carries equal marks, almost 13 marks, total 80 marks paper is there. Friends, now we will move into our unit number 1, which deals with the first 3 ingredients, that is the cement, aggregate and water. We will be discussing first about the cement, then we will move on to the aggregate, and then at last with the water. As has been discussed earlier, the chemistry of the cement, its constituent, hydration, water required, various types of the cements are being discussed today. As we know that the cement concrete is a mixture of cement, water, aggregate, that is the aggregate is further divided into coarse and fine aggregate, and admixtures. Cement, water, coarse and fine aggregate mixed together consolidates with time to a hard rock-like mass. This happens due to the chemical reaction between cement and water, which is a binding material. A small quantity of admixture, which acts as a tonic, improves the quality of the concrete. That is the 3 basic qualities, again I will repeat: the strength, the durability and the workability. The coarse aggregate in the concrete acts as a filler. The fine aggregate fills the voids or the gaps between the coarse aggregate. The cement with water, that is that paste, does 2 things. It also fills the voids in coarse aggregate and fine aggregate, as well as acts as a binder. It binds all these coarse and fine aggregates. As the cement sets or hardens, it makes this mass into a solid, impervious rock. To all these ingredients, either in a wet concrete or in a hardened concrete. In a wet concrete, the mobility to the concrete mixture is being given by the cement and water paste, as well as by using certain admixtures and other properties like the anti-corrosion to the reinforcement and various others that will be imparted by the admixtures. Friends, concrete has more advantages than little bit disadvantages. We will list down certain advantages. It can be casted in any shape. It is economical. It is durable, fire resistant, energy efficient, and can be casted on site fabrication. Disadvantages are very little one compared to the advantages. It has low tensile strength, means it has very high compressive strength. So therefore we provide reinforcement into the concrete to provide its a tensile strength. As it has low tensile strength, it has low ductility. Due to the cement with water, it has got a shrinkage property. Therefore, the concrete overall has got the volume instability and it has low strength to weight ratio. Friends, now we will move into the first component of the concrete, that is the cement. We will first discuss about the history of the cement. Not that cement is being used in last 45 or 100 years in the human history, but cementing or cementing material is being used since thousands of the years of the human culture. As can be seen that the great pyramids made up of the large stones, wherein the binding material used after burning the gypsum, that is obtaining the calcium oxide, that is lime, and again mixing this burnt gypsum with calcium sulfate, that is again the gypsum, and some 10% of the carbonates. This binding material is being used in the great pyramids, which were constructed thousands of the years before. The Greeks and the Romans also, in their structures, they also used the cementing material by burning the limestones, in which they added certain volcanic ash, which is also called as volcanic tuff. This volcanic ash also has a material which adds to the binding of the limestone. The volcanic tuff or the ash found near Pozzuoli village is later on called as the pozzolanic material, and a common name is being given to the pozzolanic material, which contains silicon oxide, which is obtained near a volcanic tuff at the Pozzuoli. In our India also, we are proud that we have also numerous temples in South India, North India, Central India, which were constructed thousands of the years back and they are still intact. We have a seventh wonder in the world, that is Taj Mahal, constructed thousands of the years before. So we Indian also have the knowledge of the binding material, wherein we were also using the lime, that is calcium oxide, mixed with the powdered brick known as the surki, and a very fine slurry is used as a binding material. Friends, now we will see how the Portland cement has emerged. It is being invented by Mr. Joseph Aspdin. He was from the England, He was a builder and a bricklayer, or you can say a brick producer. He invented this modern day cement on 21st of October 1824. What he has done? He has burnt the limestone, the silica, that is fine hard clay. He first made a slurry with water, a very fine slurry with water, and burnt it in a kiln, which we call in our local language as a bhatti. And after burning or heating this material in the kiln, the product obtained is ground or converted into a very fine powder, which he found has a binding property. And as this fine powder resembles like a soil in a village called as Portland in England, therefore this cement he produced named as the Portland cement. And this name is nowadays also used as Portland cement, maybe a ordinary Portland cement, Portland Pozzolana cement, etc. Friends, now we will see what modern day cement or the Portland cement is being defined, how it is produced, how it is manufactured. This modern day Portland cement, which we also called as a ordinary Portland cement or Portland Pozzolana cement, etc., is also called as hydraulic, that is the water resisting cement. Not only because it hardens after reacting with water, but also form a water resisting or watertight product. And therefore it is named as hydraulic cement. This cement is obtained after mixing the three basic ingredients. They are the calcareous material, that is limestone, calcium oxide, the argillaceous material, that is shell or the sand, or its chemical formula is silicon oxide, as well as the third and the inevitable ingredient, that is the aluminum oxide. It is also called as alumina, which is obtained in the mines as bauxite. These are the three ingredients. So wherever these three ingredients are found in mine in the form of the ores, there the cement factories are located. So where these ingredients are found naturally, the calcium is found in certain aragonites, calcite, cement kiln dust, chalk, clay, limestone, marble, seashells, etc. Iron is found in blast furnace slag, pyrite cinders, shells, silica, that is silicon oxide, as I have told you. It is found in clay, fly ash, that is the byproduct of the thermal power plant, fuller's earth, again it's some component in limestone too, ore washing, quartzites, etc. Alumina mainly found in bauxite. Sulfates are calcium sulfate, that is the gypsum. Friends, now we will see the process of manufacture of cement. As I have told just now, the basic ingredients of the cement are the calcareous material, that is calcium oxide, argillaceous material, that is the silicon oxide, and the aluminum oxide, that is the bauxite or alumina. Again, four ingredients are there which come along with the ores of all above three. Those ingredients are iron oxide Fe2O3, magnesium oxide, certain sodium and the potassium oxides, and also certain sulfates. But the basic three are the first three. All these first three ingredients are taken into the proportion. Majority is calcium oxide, about 60 to 70%. Second majority is the silicon oxide, argillaceous material, 20 to 30%. And the third is the aluminum oxide, it is about 6 to 8%. These are brought from the mines in the ore form. They are grinded to a very fine powder. They are blended or mixed intimately depending upon their purity, and then later on this mixture is burnt or heated in a kiln or a bhatti at a temperature about 1300 to 1500 degrees Celsius, at which temperature all these ingredients sinters, or you can say chemically reacts with each other. They partially fuses to form a typical nodular shaped clinker. These clinkers, which are in the form of the nodules, are later on cooled and ground to a fine powder. This fine powdered cement is later on added 3 to 5% of the finely powdered gypsum, and this overall mixture is called as a ordinary Portland cement, is being later on filled in the cement bags or by the tankers to the construction site. Friends, this is schematically has been shown here. First, all the ingredients are powdered in a standard proportion, mixed, blended thoroughly, either in three ways that we will be discussing further. That is either dry mixing, either wet mixing, or the semi-dry, that is little bit of water. This mixture is fed or thrown into the kiln, which is producing a temperature of 1300 to 1500 degrees Celsius, and after it is being burnt, converts into the nodules or the clinkers. After cooling the clinkers, ground, finely powdered, mixed with gypsum, and later on taken to the construction site by filling into the cement bags or by the trolleys or by the tankers. As I have told, there are mainly two processes, wet and the dry process. With a little change in these two process or modification, there is third, that is the semi-dry process. All these processes are named depending upon whether the mixing and the grinding of the raw materials, that is the calcareous material, argillaceous material, and the bauxite, that is the aluminum oxide, is done in wet or dry condition. Rest the process is the same. In dry process, no water is added, but intimate mixing and finely grinding of the ingredients is must, which is nowadays adopted method, because the technology is so advanced that grinding or finely converting the material is very nice. So therefore dry process is adopted because it requires less fuel as the materials are in dry wet state. But in earlier days, olden days, the wet process was adopted wherein all this mixture is mixed with a water of about 35 to 50% by weight of the ingredients, and this slurry, which is intimately mixed, is being thrown into the kiln, again 1300 to 1500 degrees Celsius, and later on clinkers are formed, and cooling the clinkers convert into the cement. But the wet process, as it involves the 35 to 50% of the water, needs more fuel, more burning, more pollution. So therefore the dry process is nowadays preferred. And the semi dry process, wherein the water quantity is bit reduced to 15 to 20% by weight of the cement, by weight of the ingredient, and the process of the production is again the same as has been discussed now. Friends, this chart in short shows, again describes the things, that is the raw materials: limestone, clay shell, calcareous and argillaceous material, various oxides, calcium oxide, again percentage 60 to 67, silicon oxide, aluminium oxide, iron oxide, magnesium oxide, alkalides, that is the sodium and potassium oxides, and certain sulfates. Burning 13 to 1500 degrees Celsius, clinkers are formed. Now we are coming into the new things, that is, after burning the cement, the clinkers are formed, and these clinkers contain the cementing material which has got the binding property. These cementing materials are again invented by one of the scientists called as Mr. Bogue, and they are named after his name as the Bogue's compound. These compounds are C3S, C2S, C3A and C4AF. We will be discussing later on. These compounds, that is the clinkers, are grounded, and this grounded material is mixed with gypsum and is being used in this construction as the cement in concrete. The chemical composition of the cement, or the ingredients of the cement, are the main are lime, calcareous material, silica, argillaceous material, alumina, aluminium oxide, iron oxide, and the remaining magnesium oxide, certain alkalis and the sulfates. Ordinary Portland cement has got these percentages: calcium oxide 60 to 67, silicon oxide 17 to 25, aluminium oxide 0 to 8%, iron oxide 0.5 to 6%, magnesium oxide 0.1 to 4%, alkalis 0.4 to 1.3, and sulfates 1.3 to 3%. These above three are the percentages meticulously added, and the remaining 4 are to be taken care of, that not more than these percentages should be available in the ore, or they will affect the properties of the cement, that is ultimately the concrete. After burning all these ingredients 13 to 1500 degrees Celsius, the Bogue's compounds are formed in the cement, which has got the cementing property. They are the tricalcium silicate, that is 3CaOSiO2. We call it as the C3S. They are also called as alite, and their percentage is 54.1% in the cement. Dicalcium silicate, 2 times calcium oxide CaOSiO2, C2S, it is in short indicated, also named as belite. Its percentage is 16.1% in the cement. Tricalcium aluminate, that is 3CaO Al2O3 C3A, it is called as the cellite, 10.8%. Tetracalcium aluminoferrite, 4CaO Al2O3 Fe2O3 C4AF it is denoted by, known as the phthalate, it's 9.1%. So all these ingredients at high temperature converts into clinkers, and those clinkers contains the Bogue's compound named after Mr. R.H. Bogue. In all this C3S, C2S, C3A, C4AF, and later on we will be discussing about the CSH gel. C stands for the calcium oxide CaO, S stands for the silicon oxide SiO2, A stands for the Al2O3 aluminum oxide, F stands for Fe2O3 ferrous oxide iron oxide, and H stands for H2O. Must keep these things in mind permanent. Friends, now we will be discussing about the various properties of the all 4 Bogue's compound, that is the constituent of the produced cement. What does they impart to the cement? Friends, tricalcium silicate, that is C3S, which is about 45% in the cement. Dicalcium silicate, that is C2S, it's 25% in the cement. They give strength to the cement. Together they are 70 to 80%. As we have discussed that C3S stands for CaO and C stands for CaO, S stands for SiO2. That is, the calcium oxide and silicon oxide are used for the production of the cement. But 100% of the calcium oxide or 100% of the silicon oxide may not get converted into the Bogue's compound, and certain free line, that is calcium oxide, may exist in the produced cement, which causes unsoundness. Means it has the property of swelling, expansion after reaction with water, forming calcium hydroxide. It is very soluble in water, so can be flown with dissolving in water, as well as it doesn't have any strength, it's very brittle. Also, excess of the silica in the ingredients of the cement, if it does not get converted into the Bogue's compound, may cause the cement to fuse easily, or it's difficult to fuse, and therefore remains in the clinker in the unfused manner. The cement with high total alumina and high ferric oxide content is sometimes favorable to the production of high early strength properties to the cement. That is the rapid hardening cement. We will be discussing later on. Now, what does this third constituent, that is C3A, gives to the cement? Actually, it is undesirable in the cement, but the aluminium oxide acts like a catalyst. It results into the combination of the calcium oxide and the silicon oxide. It helps, therefore it is inevitable. but it reacts with calcium oxide, forms a C3A tricalcium aluminate, which actually does not helps in giving the strength to the concrete, but it has the bad property of setting the concrete or setting the cement at the early age or early time. Also it forms with water, and C3A with water forms again a gel, which after setting gets attacked by the sulfates and forms sulfoaluminate, ettringite, which is also causes disruption in the concrete in later ages. C4AF, that is the fourth ingredient of the Box compound, is also unwanted, but due to the presence of the aluminum oxide and the ferrous oxide, it is produced. C4AF does not give much to the quality of the concrete. On the contrary, reacts with gypsum, that is the calcium sulfate, forms the calcium sulfoferrite, also called as the ettringite, which has got a needle crystal, and also accelerates the hydration of the silicates, means the setting time decreasing work it performs both, that is C3A and C4A. So what to do for that? So therefore, to increase the setting time, because we want that concrete is to be produced, then later on taken to the site, pouring, placing, vibrating, finishing, etc. takes lot of the time. So we don't want that cement to be set earlier. So due to give it more setting time, gypsum is being added, that is calcium sulfate, about 3 to 5%, which compensate to the rapid setting properties of C3A and the C4AF. But the quantity of gypsum must be limited to 3 to 5%. More than that may also result into the unsoundness to the cement as well as to the concrete. The other compounds like the magnesium oxide, the MnO3, TiO, sodium, potassium oxide, they does not impart to any strength additions, etc., and they are in a very few percent in the mass of the cement as well as in the concrete. But only this sodium and potassium oxide, known as the alkalis, after reacting with water forms the NaOH and KOH, and this has got the tendency to react with the aggregates in the concrete. They actually deteriorates or decomposes the aggregate if the aggregate are not inert. If they contain certain chemicals which gets affected by these alkalis, then they get deteriorated, they breaks, and that reaction is called as alkali aggregate reaction. So again a revision: alite, baelite, aluminite, that is the saline and the phthalate Box compound. Their formulas: tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, tetracalcium aluminoferrite. The first one, alite, gives the early strength about 30 to 55%. Baelite gives the strength but later 20 to 25%. Aluminite gives the setting early. We can call it as a early setting or rapid hardening, 5 to 12%. And the tetracalcium aluminoferrite, again early setting, fluxing phase, 6 to 14% in the cement. Now friends, we will be moving on to the next very important phenomena known as the hydration of the Portland cement. As we know, the dry cement in the concrete does not have any binding property, or nor it gives the flowing of the concrete. So the concrete or the cement is to be mixed with water for the chemical reaction between cement and water. This chemical reaction between cement and water, which is a binding material or a adhesive material, is known as hydration of the cement. In presence of the water, the silicates and the aluminates in the Portland cement forms a product of hydration or the hydrates, which in the process produces a firm and hard mass. This hardened cement paste is known as the CSH gel. Again, C stands for the CaO, S stands for SiO2 and H stands for H2O. So, the cement and the water paste known as the CSH gel, which gives not only binding property to the concrete or to the cement after the hardening, but also it acts as a lubricant and makes the concrete flowable, cohesive. This property is called as the workability of the cement or workability of the concrete, very important property. In the hydration of cement, the C3S and C2S, they react with water, forms the CSH gel. The C3S hydrates more fastly than the C2S. Again this CSH gel, C3S forms C3S2H, that is CSH gel, with some unconverted calcium oxide, which we discussed as a unsound material. It also reacts with the water and forms the calcium hydroxide, which is useless in nature. It has got, again I will repeat, three bad properties. It dissolves in water, therefore flows into the voids of the cement or the concrete and comes out of the surface, which is called as the leaching of concrete. Secondly, after setting, it doesn't get hard as the cement or the concrete. On the contrary, it is brittle like the chalk. And the third, it has got a very worst property, that is, it is expansive swelling. So it forms crack into the concrete. C2S also behaves as the C3S with water. The various chemical reactions are mentioned here. C3S, C2S with water. All these numbers in the bracket are the corresponding masses which takes place in the chemical reaction and forms the CSH gel, in short, with certain calcium hydroxide which is unwanted. But the C3A being very less in the cement, but which is again unwanted, it also reacts with the water. It forms a C3A with water, that is CaH gel, which has got a very bad property of rapid hardening, rapid setting. Because this reaction is very fast, it sets the cement flash, that is the flash setting, which we don't want. Therefore, it is prevented by addition of the gypsum to the cement clinker. Again, the chemical reaction is being shown here. Again, the figures in the bracket shows the mass of the C3A as well as the water and the CaH gel. Now we will be moving on to the next and very important concept, that is the heat of hydration. Friends, this chemical reaction of the cement with water evolves the production of the heat. It is an exothermic reaction, chemical reaction. The quantity of heat in joules per gram of the unhydrated cement evolved upon complete hydration at a given temperature is called as the heat of hydration. a very important concept. This heat of hydration plays a important role in the spoiling of the strength and durability of concrete. So therefore, how it is to be dealt with, that we will be seeing later on. This heat of hydration or the chemical reaction between cement and water is also dependent upon the atmospheric temperature, that is the ambient temperature. More the atmospheric temperature, faster is the chemical reaction between cement and water, and maybe faster the heat of hydration development. About 50% of the total heat of hydration is evolved or liberated between first 1 to 3 days of the chemical reaction between cement and water. About 3/4 or 75% heat is evolved in the next 7 days, and 90% of the evolvement or the emission of the heat occurs in the 6th month after production of the concrete or after mixing the water in the cement. So this heat of hydration depends on the chemical composition of the cement as well as fineness of the cement. Very fine the cement, more is the heat of hydration, because more is the surface area available for the chemical reaction. This heat of hydration produced is again produced by the 4 ingredients of the cement, that is C3S, C2S, C3A, C4AF, and this heat of hydration can be controlled by reducing the proportions of C3A or C3S by adjusting the calcareous, argillaceous, the bauxite and the Fe2O3, and can be produced a low heat cement. We will be discussing later on. The quantity of the heat of hydration produced, C3S produces about 502 joules per gram, that is 120 calories per gram. C2S about 260 joules per gram, C3A 867, C4A 419. In calories, C3S 120, C2S 62, C3A 207. See friends, C3A produces maximum heat of hydration, and C4AF also produces maximum heat of hydration, 419, 100. Though these two does not plays the role in giving the strength to the concrete. Normally cement produces 80 to 90 calories per gram in first 7 days and 90 to 100 calories per gram in 28 days. So in 28 days the cement gets maximum of its strength by evolving maximum of its heat, and therefore as the cement is being used in the concrete, we take the cement as well as the concrete's strength as 28 day strength. See, the reaction is faster in earlier period, that is the earlier days, and continues indefinitely at a decreasing rate. This is the graph between the time and the rate of the reaction. As can be seen, for the first 4 hours it is maximum, it bit reduces, and again 4 to almost 16 hours it goes on increasing and later on reduces. These are the heat of hydration produced by the various box compounds C2S, C3S, C3A, C4AF, time with the heat of hydration produced. Again this graph also shows the rate of heat evolution, that is the heat of hydration along with the time. You can see first 15 minutes maximum production of the heat of hydration, latter 2 hours reduces, Again next 12 to 24 hours maximum heat of hydration, and later on after 24 hours the heat of hydration, that is the chemical reaction, goes on decreasing. Friends, now we will be moving on to the next and very important concept, that is the water requirement for the hydration, that is the chemical reaction between the cement and the water. About 23% of the water by weight of the cement is required for this chemical reaction, that is the hydration process. This water is known as the bound water, because this water combines with the ingredients of the cement, and hence it is called as the bound water. Very important percentage, that is 23%. In this 23%, C3S requires 24% of 23%, and C2S needs 21% of this 23%, and the remaining water is being needed by naturally C3A and C4AF. This water, again more water is needed, which is about 15%, which remains into the gel pores of the cement and water paste in wet as well as it goes on hardening. But this water, that is the 15%, is again further needed with time for gaining the strength to the concrete, to the cement. This water is filled into the gel pores of the cement and water paste in wet and as it turns into the hardened mass. This 15% of water is also must, that is 15% by weight of the cement. This water is called as the gel water. So earlier 23%, and that is the bound water, and 15% that is the gel water. So overall water requirement for the hydration of the cement is 38%. This 38% of the water by weight of the dry cement is must. Not more than this 38% of the water is needed for the chemical reaction. Maybe certain percentage can be reduced below 38% by using certain additives or admixtures, which may increase the strength and durability, but not more than 38% is desirable. Additional water more than 38% remains in the capillaries or cavities of the cement as well as concrete, later on evaporates and results into the reducing the strength and durability of the concrete as well as cement, as the cement being the inevitable part of the concrete. So 23% bound water, 15% gel water, only 38% of the water by weight of the cement is needed. Both these waters are complementary to each other. Inadequate water may affect the hydration, the strength will reduce. Lesser water affects the strength, and more water also undesirable as it remains in the water form into the cavities of the cement and the concrete. It later on gets evaporated and as it does not play part into the chemical reaction, and hence it produces the voids in the cement as well as concrete, reduces the strength and durability. So therefore more water affects the strength, also lesser water than 38% may affect the strength. It may because the chemical reaction will not take place. So these two figures, lower water cement ratio, that is lower water, lower voids, more dense is the concrete, more water than 38%, more voids, lesser dense or high porous is the concrete, low strength. This is the overall effect of the water into the concrete. So here we will take the break. The physical characteristics of various types of the cement we will discuss into the next part.